What is going on, everyone? Prodigy here, and today I want to talk about whether or not you should buy Fatal Bullet, or my thoughts on the game. As someone who's put a lot of time into this game, I can give a relatively good input on the game, and as someone who loves the game a lot and sees so much growth for it, like potential growth, I feel like it's a good point for me to start talking about it, especially with all the things I've done in the game. So, I just want to start off by saying I feel like the devs put everything into like the combat system in the game and gun mechanics that they didn't do almost anything else with the game, and that in with itself is the biggest problem, because if you don't enjoy the combat or movement system of the game, then I feel like you're not going to enjoy this game at all. The storyline for this game is minimalistic to almost none. It didn't feel like it had an actual story developer. It was just different things thrown together. I didn't enjoy the story at all personally. I know some people did, mainly just for the true ending, and that alone is a joke in itself to get. I feel like it was so much extra work and didn't even really make sense on how to get it, but that's besides the point. The NPCs themselves are not that entertaining. I don't find like the new characters introduced in this game anywhere near as like written out or made compared to the other characters in the series or the new characters in the games. For example, like Philia and Straya. Most of the people in this game, like the NPC wise, don't exist. There's a few NPCs which you see hanging around in certain locations of the game, but it's not like the other Sword Art games where there was a lot of players. And supposedly for this Gun Gale game, that's polluted with players trying to make a living off it or whatever. It just doesn't feel alive like the other games did, and that's another just big letdown compared to the other games. But if I don't compare it to the other games, it makes its own standing point on just kind of like how low quality it is in a way. I enjoyed the graphics a lot, and I really do love the game, but it just doesn't have anything given to it. I feel like it was just made to be a shooter with added on things, but in that case I would have enjoyed much more of a PvP aspect of the game, or something to really expand upon the shooting mechanics. They have all this cool stuff added into the game for gunplay that you really don't see just because of the PvE world. And half the time, if you're playing on the hardest difficulty, you're just getting one shot or CC locking bosses and stuff like that. There's so many little mechanics that they added within the guns and stuff like that. There's so much depth that it gets so easily overshadowed by those that really enjoy JRPGs. You don't really notice all these little things until you put in so much hours playing with a different weapon. And most of the time, these weapons are easily overshadowed just by how bad they are in the first place. Handguns easily overshadow everything because of how quickshot works. And most of these weapons don't even have a unique skill like handguns. Weapon arts in this game are very disappointing in some ways just because of how useless they are compared to the handgun one, and overall I feel like there was no balance testing between weapons. I feel like the devs didn't really look at what they were doing past normal mode, because my first playthrough of the game I thought it was relatively balanced. I used a bunch of different weapons, but I knew I wanted to play handguns. So as I got into expert mode and started playing through the end of my normal mode, I switched to handguns, and I enjoyed playing with them. I found the handguns I really liked just because of the way they looked and stuff, and I ended up finding something that was completely broken, which is relatively nice for experimenting, and I thought was cool. But as I did that with other weapons, there was almost no reward like I did with handguns, and that's kind of disappointing compared to the other games. Like I said, the end game, fast boss kills and all that stuff relies on two different kinds of weapons, and you can't really use anything else for a fast clear. Sure, other weapons have their shining points, but it's not useful, like almost comparatively to the other weapons. I think the game has a lot of potential for growth, right? There's a lot of things they could do. For example, add in a nice co-op experience. The co-op in this game is very disappointing. It's a very instant, you run into a mission, you kill a boss, and you get a reward. The reward is rolled, randomized, just like all the other loot in the game, and the bosses aren't difficult. You can solo most bosses in the game under 30 seconds with a decent build. You don't need a very strong one, and easily beat the times. It's not fun in any way, in my opinion. I'd rather just farm the bosses solo in that case and not deal with the lag or due to the lack of dedicated servers, and PvP is just as a mess. I think the DLC Deathmatch will add a nice change to it, but it's still going to be dead if they don't add dedicated servers, and that's the problem. Peer-to-peer is so laggy you can barely hit someone, or half the time the person you're fighting can't even fight back due to the lack of dedicated servers. If they give the game the attention it needs, I feel like it can grow a lot, but from where it stands, it's hard to even give this game a decent review. Like I said, the only thing they have going for it, honestly, is the gunplay. And that's really disappointing compared to most of the other Sword Art games, because they had so much depth in a lot of ways. They had the ability to make your own sword skills, so to say, by training other sword skills. Character growth actually felt important. As you progressed in the game, you felt like you were not only improving as a character, but getting new gear and unlocking those new looks. It felt satisfying. There's barely any like cosmetics, so to say, which is a big thing for some, not to others. It's not the biggest factor, but I just feel like this game had very nice graphics in some ways, but the devs are just learning how to use the engine, and that's a problem. A lot of the things are buggy. The 60 FPS to 30 FPS changes are extreme, considering you can only do some things on 60 FPS compared to 30, but the game gets harder on 60. All these little things make for a giant mess of a game that has so much potential. And as someone who loves the game and plays it so much, it's hard for me to keep coming back and playing it when there's nothing to do. The endgame grind is doing the same thing over and over, and I just don't find it that entertaining anymore. Making new characters isn't fun since everything carries over, and making new builds is almost nothing because I find myself wanting to use the same weapons. Everything feels so slow without using it. Like my handgun build. But I don't know really what else to say about this game. I can go into depth about a lot of things, but then this video could be super long, and I just want an overall scan about the game and just a lot of things that are overshadowed about it. I think it has a lot of potential for growth, like I said, but let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like the game? Do you think others should buy it? Do you think it needs more attention? That kind of stuff. Join my Discord if you want to talk about it more, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know what else you want to see on my channel. Peace out.